as you join. It will be recording. I'd love it if in the chat you all want to share your name and where you're from. I'd love to see you all. We got a lot of people registered today, so I'm excited about that and excited to hear you all, get to know you a little bit and share some tips for returning to paid work. So keep Lily, thank you so much. Thanks for posting that. I'm going to just keep admitting people while we're waiting here, but if y'all want to share where you're from, I am in Houston. Maybe some of our coaches and want to share where they're from. I see Sacramento, Lily in Kansas City, New York, hello, Pennsylvania, Seattle, awesome, Kansas, Jen, Dallas, Texas, Faya, nice. Houston, Marlette, awesome. Yeah, and feel free to come on. I'd love it if y'all want to come on screen. Mara, we got from Houston, California, Gaithersburg, Maryland, Bay Area, awesome. And it looks like more people coming in. Long Island, great. So wonderful to see you all. Hi. Welcome, welcome, welcome. I'm going to keep admitting a few people if y'all want to share where you're from. Looks like somebody's on the beach, so that's awesome.
my fake background.
Looks like a great place to be to me.
Looks better than my closet door.
It's awesome. You're good. Great. Minneapolis, Bay Area, another one. Awesome. Good. Well, welcome everybody. I'm so glad you're here. I always love doing these master classes and getting to meet new returners and sharing some wisdom. So I'm looking forward to today. We've got a couple of people, a couple of returners on the line who have been through the Thrive program. And then we have one returner who has gotten back to paid work, successfully made it back to paid work, but because of that, she is not able to join us today. So I've got a video from her that I'm going to be sharing later on. But so I see somebody joined from Katy, Texas. Wonderful. My backyard.
Someone from Kansas City, Erin. Love it. Love to see a local. All right.
Awesome. Well, we'll go ahead and get started. And I'm just going to keep admitting people as they join, but we'll go ahead and get started with the masterclass. So I'm going to share my screen. So welcome everybody. Thanks for being here. We're going to be sharing at least 3 must-haves for success in your return to paid work. As we've done this before, I feel like there's always more than 3 tips that you'll get out of this, but hopefully at least 3. If you're coming in, put yourself on mute. Thank you. And I'm going to keep admitting people as they come in. All right. So my name is Anna McKay. I'm the founder of Parents Pivot. In my former working world, I was an auditor with Deloitte for almost 10 years, and then made the transition to career and leadership development coach in 2008, which was the same year that I got married and moved overseas to the Philippines. And then we moved to Beijing a couple of years later, and then Houston. So now I'm in Houston. Throughout that time, I've coached people getting back to paid work. A lot of the reason, so I've been a coach since 2008, but I founded Parents Pivot in 2019 because of a lot of those experiences that I saw, people returning to paid work, people going overseas and trying to navigate back to paid work when they moved back to their home countries. And then I saw it again when I moved to Houston and my daughter was entering kindergarten, and I see it all the time with my clients, the challenges that returners face in getting back to paid work. And I wanted to find a solution. I wanted to be the solution. So I founded Parents Pivot and developed the Thrive Like a Mother group coaching program to address a lot of the challenges. And so we're going to talk through a couple of those challenges that I see commonly and our coaches see commonly. And we're going to share some tips on those, and then we're going to hear from some returners. But I want to introduce the coaches first, our team. Lily, go ahead.
Hi, this is so exciting to be here and see so many faces. My name is Lily Coy, and my background prior to coaching is in higher education administration. So I have a doctorate in educational leadership and have worked in the higher ed space for the last 15 plus years. But about 7 years ago, my family made a big move from Los Angeles to Kansas City, where my husband, he's from the area and has family here. And we moved for his job. And I ended up taking an unexpected career pause for a variety of reasons. And then during the pandemic, after a few years of trying to return to work and being very frustrated and not being able to figure out why I couldn't return to work, I, through the pandemic, found Anna through the Mom Project. So I don't know if anybody on this call has ever done anything with the Mom Project, but Anna did a talk very similar to what she's going to share here. And I was like, oh, I need to talk to this woman now. And she had offered all these free coaching appointments and was booked solid. And I sent her an email and I was like, no, I need to talk to you like tomorrow. So I met with Anna and worked with her as a coach, and I guess they say the rest is history. I am now an ICF certified coach and a mom of 2 boys in Kansas City. And yeah, I coach in a variety of spaces, but this is really the bread and butter, the heart of the matter for me, because Thrive is my story. And so I love being able to support women through this process. And I'm very happy that one of my former Thrivers you will get to hear from later in this talk. So welcome, everyone.
Yay. Thanks, Lily. And I'm so glad we connected so many years ago and so glad to have you on the team now. Jen.
Yes. Hi. Oh, I'm so excited to be back for another season of Thrive. I'm Jen Person. I am a leadership coach and a leadership development consultant, and have been working with Thrive for the last couple of years as a facilitator and career coach. And I came to Thrive having gone through a corporate layoff. I was in healthcare technology for 20 plus years and found myself suddenly out of healthcare technology. And it was just a moment in time to be able to lift my head up and figure out, what in the world am I skilled at? What do I want to do? Where do I want to go? And I, through coaching, I discovered coaching at that time, and through my own coach figured out that I needed to do a career pivot, and decided to reinvent myself after taking some time off to spend with my family during the pandemic. And in the process of doing that, actually launched my own business and navigated back to paid work in sort of an unusual path, one that I did not expect. And so one of the benefits of that career reinvention is that I found Thrive and found Anna, and was really excited to be able to coach several groups of Thrive folks over the last few years, and I'm excited to do it again.
Yay.
And I sit in Kansas. I'm outside of Wichita in what most would consider to be rural Kansas, and live here with my husband and 2 elementary, middle school aged kids, and a furry friend that you will often see in my background, whose name is Marley, and he joins me on all of my coaching sessions. So glad to be here today.
Thank you, Jen. Thank you. Thank you. I'm so glad you're on the team too. We were blessed here at Parents Pivot to have some amazing coaches. So thank you. All right. So this is the agenda for today, talking through a little bit of the landscape of returning to paid work, and then some common struggles that returners face and how to overcome those. And then we're going to hear from some of our returners. So who is here today? If you could put in the chat a 1, 2, 3, 4, or 5, according to what correlates to you. Are you looking to return to paid work after a 1 or 2 years? Put a 1. if you're looking to return after 2 to 10 years, put a 2. I see some 2s and 1s, some 5s. None of the above, looking to support returners. That's a 5. 3 is returning to work after more than 10 years. And then 4 is looking to make a career transition. Yes. So I see some 2s and 3s. Yes. Love it. We work with returners from all different levels. People are returning to paid work after 1 or 2 to 10, more than 10 years. I think the longest person that we've had out of paid work is somebody who had a 21-year career pause and got back to paid work. So we've seen it all. I see somebody joining from Tampa. Awesome. Thank you. Yay. And making a career transition. That's also common. So a lot of people use this time, like after a pause, to think through, well, maybe I don't want to go back and do what I did before. I'm also looking to make a career transition. So that's really common. So thanks so much for being here. So why is now a good time to return? You all may have heard that after COVID, a lot of companies have implemented more flexible work arrangements. It's much more common today than it may have been when you were last in paid work. In addition, working parents are having a moment. There's a huge movement out there to make workplaces more friendly for working parents. And so there's a lot of different companies working at it from all different angles. And we're all kind of collectively trying to make the workplace better for working parents. Parents and caregivers make up 73% of the workforce these days. And so companies are really facing that challenge head on and realize that they need to make some adjustments and are doing that. So it's a great time to return to paid work because of that. And then employers are always looking for good people. And finally, why not now? There's no time better than the present, right? And you may feel a little hesitant because of a lot of these kind of common struggles that we see people face. Yes, I see somebody sharing that they've never worked and that now they're having to return and start over at 46. And I feel you. I understand. We've had a couple of people go through Thrive in a similar situation. They may not have worked professionally and then are now in a place where they need to get back to paid work. And just want to let you know that that you can do it too, just like they have. And so hopefully you'll listen in and get some good tips for today. So 5 common struggles that returners face. These are what we see. So first is, will anyone hire me if I have a gap in paid work? So it's that challenge around, how do I talk about this gap in paid work? Second is, I don't know if I have the right skills. Next is, I don't know what I want to do for paid work. Maybe you don't want to go back, like somebody was mentioning earlier, and do what they had done before they left paid work. Maybe they want to try something, you want to try something different. Or maybe you just want to think through, you're not really clear about what it is that you want to do. Next, so much has changed in the job market that a job search can be totally overwhelming. Everything's different than the last time you looked for a job, and you might not feel comfortable with all the tools that are available and out there these days. And then finally, I'm struggling to stay motivated, and something always distracts me from my search. So if these resonate with you, just say yes. I see some yeses. Yes, Ashley says, yes, that's me. I've been out of work for 5 years, but I don't want to go back to what I've been doing. Yes. If he says yes, totally me. Yes, all of the above. I'm glad this is resonating with you all. So I'm going to turn it over to Jen to address this first one. Facing bias. Will anyone hire me if I have a gap in paid work? Jen, what do you think?
Yeah, this is a big one. And what we're talking about here is really conscious and unconscious bias, right? Will anyone hire me? Who is going to hire me after I've had a gap in my paid work? And as Anna mentioned before, parents are having a moment, right? Like now more than ever, you are in good company in asking and answering this question. One of the, if you might want to call it, features of the pandemic is that this has put the issue of pauses, career breaks into center stage. There have been tons of articles, LinkedIn and HBR and Washington Post and many more, that are publishing articles about this topic of people taking career breaks. So if there's so many people out there, why are we talking about biases? Why is there a conscious and unconscious bias around it? But there is one of the things that we'll talk about in today, as well as in Thrive, is just understanding these biases that exist and why they're there. So let me talk first. There is conscious bias, there is unconscious bias, and I would argue that both are entirely irrational. And despite this increase in prevalence of people pausing from paid work, the biases really persist, and they have a real impact on returners. And in fact, studies have shown that stay-at-home moms returning to the job market are less likely to get an interview than moms who have been laid off or who have been looking for work. Talk about irrational, right? Like, why in the world would that be the case? And if you go to the next slide. So how do we make sense out of these biases? And perhaps the biases come from a perceived lack of commitment. So do you have too much going on? Maybe you have too many distractions from home. And when you're coming back from perhaps a time off work, unpaid time off to spend with your family, are you actually really quitting that job, your stay-at-home mom job, to come back and do paid work? Are you really leaving those other responsibilities at home, or are they going to creep in? Those are some of the conscious and unconscious biases that might cause employers to really question your commitment in coming back. Another could be perhaps there is a perceived sense that your skills have expired or are outdated in some way. And quite clearly, that is a perception that could be employers, and it could be your own perception, right? Do you have your own sense of conscious and unconscious bias about your own skills? And so let's note, first of all, these are not realities and truths. These are perceptions, and they are judgments, whether other people are making them about us or we are making them about ourselves. So one of the things that we talk about a lot at Parents Pivot is owning your story. There is a power in knowing how to effectively communicate your career pause, to quickly kind of own the narrative, rather than to allowing these other perceptions, these conscious and unconscious biases and judgments to get a foothold in your story when you're talking to other people about re-entering the paid working market. And so we work closely with returners to sharpen that message and to communicate your unique story confidently. And about that story, a common question that we get is, should I, and more specifically, how should I call attention to the gap in paid work? And our perspective is, yes, you should. You should absolutely talk about it and own that narrative. And research shows that candidates are 60% more likely to get called for an interview when they give a reason for their working gap. And so it is important that you feel confident and comfortable with talking about it, and make sure that you get ahead of any of those judgments. Okay, so Jen, I hear you. I should draw attention to my working gap, but how do I do that? It comes down to 3 C's that we talk about in Thrive. The first is owning your story gives you the chance to affirm your commitment to the role, your commitment to going back into the paid working market, and to the company that you are interviewing for. So that's the first C that we address. And then it also allows you the opportunity to address the other 2 C's, your competence. So what's your story around the skills that you bring to the table? And specifically, how can you help a hiring manager to relate your skills to their needs? How can you be the expert of that dialogue and say, these are the skills that I have, and these are the things that you are looking for, and how do you marry those 2 together? And then the third C is cultural add. So many organizations are really hungry for outside perspectives, some diversity in the voices around the table in their boardrooms. And so how might you add to that dialogue with your experience, even the experience that you have gained during your paid work pause? How do you talk about that as a cultural add and a valuable perspective that organizations really need to have at their boardrooms? So I'm going to turn it over to Anna to talk a little bit about struggle number 2. Oh, you're on mute, Anna.
Yeah, thank you. Sorry. Yeah, this next struggle is, I don't know if I have the skills. I don't know if I have the right skills to get back to paid work. And I saw somebody in the comments said, oh, I keep getting to interviews and then they decide to go to somebody with more recent experience. And I hear that. And what we want to help you do in Thrive, and we're going to give you some tips today, is how to show an employer that you're the right candidate, how to showcase your experience so that they pick you. So first, it starts with you, and it starts with, how can we flip the switch and how can we change our mindset? How does your career pause make you more valuable? And so I want each of you to kind of think through that as we're going through this framework that I'm going to share with you, and hear what resonates with you. And then maybe you can use some of that in your interviews to convey to an employer why they should choose you over somebody with more experience. So you have depth. A lot of the returners that we work with have depth, and the D stands for drive and determination. We see returners being so involved in their communities and in unpaid work during their time away from paid work. They showcase drive and determination in leadership roles and various different volunteer roles. They show up when you're not getting paid to, and that's a huge thing. So bringing that drive and determination to the workplace is a huge value add for an employer. So if you can talk about ways that you've done that and showcase and let the employers know that you'll do that in paid work too, that can go a long way. E stands for energy. So when people have been out of paid work for a while, we see this in returners all the time. They are excited to get back to paid work. They might be the most excited to be working. People who have been continuously working may be burned out, may not have the energy that people who are just getting back to paid work after a significant career pause might have. And so you bring that fresh energy to work, you bring that excitement to get back to paid work, you bring that kind of gratitude for being there, and you bring that energy, which is a huge impact to a team. P in depth stands for prior professional and life experience. As returners, we often have had some professional experience and definitely a lot of life experience that have added to our skill set. So understanding what those transferable skills are and how to convey them to an employer is critical. I know we had a returner on a previous masterclass who talked about how her employer had loved the way that she brought all of this empathy and an experience and life experience to share with the team. They really valued that in her, and were really appreciative of all the life experience that she had that added value to her team. T stands for thought-provoking questions and insights. So research shows that when we're coming from a different background, we see things differently. You can use that to your advantage as a returner. You may see things that other people who've been continuously working or have been in industry don't see, because they're just kind of taken for granted as this is the way things have always been done. This is the way things are always done. But as a returner, you bring a unique perspective. And if you can turn that perspective into thought-provoking questions and insights, that is a huge value add for an employer. And then finally, heart. As parents and caregivers, we are often called upon to use that skill of empathy. And we know that empathetic leaders in today's workplace are even more valued. I was just listening to a podcast the other day talking about empathy being one of the most, it's always been one of the most critical skills for leadership. But in today's world, during COVID, leaders were asked to be more empathetic, and then people and employees are expecting that again today. They're expecting a lot from their leaders, and the most important skill that they're looking for in their leaders is empathy. And you have developed that through your caregiving experience in your unpaid work. So if in the chat you want to write through which one of these, you can just put the first letter, which resonates with you: drive and determination, energy, E for energy, P for prior professional experience and life experience, T, thought-provoking questions and insights, and H, heart. So thinking through which of those resonate with you, and you can put all of them or one of them. And it's different for every returner. So people have different experiences and they bring different things to the table. All of them. See a lot of people saying all, P and H, awesome, love it, love it, love it. DEP, P and TH, all of them. E, yes, P and H, love this. Awesome. Well, glad this is resonating with you all. And in addition to depth, the returners also bring agility. So one of the reasons I named my company Parents Pivot is because I think it speaks to the agility that we are required to develop as parents. One of the things that we're parenting never goes as planned, right? And as parents, we learn to navigate that uncertainty and to be agile in the moment. So if you can get more specific for you on each of these, that will go a long way to helping an employer understand why you should be their next hire. So I'm going to turn it over to Lily to talk about this next challenge, a lack of clarity. And I don't know what I want to do. What do you think people should do about that, Lily?
Oh, this is a real tough one because this is one that I personally was feeling. I had tried everything, and by everything, I had rewritten a resume, updated my LinkedIn, and I was just feeling stuck. And somebody said to me, you're fighting something. And I couldn't figure it out. So does this resonate with you? Do you feel stuck, unsure? Maybe you don't want to return to what you were doing before. Maybe you don't know what it is you want to do. The world has changed, post-pandemic. Maybe you've been out of the workforce for 5+ years and your skill sets feel rusty, and there are things out there like ChatGPT and who knows how to utilize AI and things like that. Is any of this resonating with people? Yes, with a sad face. Well, maybe you just don't know how to figure out what to do and where to go. Or maybe it's overwhelm, like shiny object syndrome, where there's just so many choices out there and you're maybe feeling a little fearful of making the wrong choice or trying something new and it not working out for you. But the good news is that, you can move from feeling like this individual stuck in the mud. I love this image because who has not felt just like the trudge of every day slopping through our lives, trying to get there and just not knowing how to do it. And we want to get to that crystal clear vision on the other side. And we help you do that at Parents Pivot. And we want to help you do that because we want you to feel empowered in taking that next step and to help you get unstuck from the mud. And so to be able to get that clarity, we want you to start writing down, what is it that you need? Do you need to have flexibility? Are you able to go to an office 9 to 5, Monday through Friday? What do you want? Maybe you just don't want to work a 40+ plus hour work week anymore. Maybe you only want to work part-time. And what do you don't want? Maybe you don't want to work for other people. Maybe you've decided you want to work for yourself and go after something that new and exciting and selling your skills or offering services that you might be able to have. So really getting clarity starts with figuring out yourself and understanding those needs, what you want, what you don't want, and keeping that list. And we offer that through coaching and assessments and various activities in our Thrive group coaching program, which you'll hear more about.
Yes. Thank you, Lily. And then finally, we've come to struggles 4 and 5. So these are, so much has changed in the job market that I feel overwhelmed. Like Lily mentioned, ChatGPT, what is that? How do I use that? LinkedIn, what's that? How do I use that? A resume, I don't remember how to do that. So much has changed in the job market. I feel overwhelmed. And then also, I'm struggling to stay motivated. Something always distracts me from my job search. As the lead parent, we are often called on for all things at home, and so we can get distracted and focused on all of those things, and sometimes the job search does not come front and center. So those are a couple of the different struggles that we hear. Do you feel overwhelmed? Oftentimes at this point in the return, people are feeling really kind of overwhelmed if they've tried it up a couple of things and they didn't work. Well, we're here to tell you that if you are climbing the mountain with friends, you're much more likely to achieve your goal. There's been research that shows that when you're looking at a steep mountain and you're imagining climbing that mountain with a friend, you perceive it as much less steep than those who are climbing by themselves or are climbing with a partner that they don't get along with. So climb the mountain with friends, and we're here to be that community for you. The Thrive group coaching program is a small cohort of other returners facing the same challenges that you are and looking to achieve the same goal. So when we do that together, we can support one another, we can hold each other accountable, we can stay motivated throughout this work, which is so challenging. So tell you a little bit about Thrive. These are all the different things that are included in the Thrive group coaching program. You get one-on-one coaching session with your Thrive coach. That's either Lily or Jen. And then you get 9 group coaching sessions, and you get workbooks and assessments to go along with each session, and assessments to go along throughout the course. There's a confidence building digital course that we have that outlines strategies that you bring to the live sessions and talk through and navigate through together as a group. You get resume feedback and templates to use. You build your network of other amazing returners. You also get interview tips and practice and prep. We get guidance on your LinkedIn. We use technology that's used commonly in the workplace today. And so you get familiar with that. That's also a hesitation sometimes for people. In addition, you get accountability, and we talk about salary negotiation. So the fall cohort starts now. As soon as you sign up, you can register for your one-on-one with Lily or Jen, and you get started. You get access to all the workbooks and all of everything, the confidence building digital course. And then the group sessions start later. They start in October. And so, but the doors close a week before September 26th. So we would love for you to join us. But I know you're probably asking, like, how much does all this cost? So we've priced it so that you're getting a lot. You're getting a lot here. You're getting a lot of value. And, if we were to do all of this, in traditional kind of job search programs, coaching programs, it could cost more than $4,000. But we know we're working with returners, and we have all of this value in here for just the cost of a resume review and LinkedIn. But you get so much more. You get all of these things and for the cost of a resume feedback and LinkedIn feedback. So, and we're also giving you a bonus one-on-one. If you reach out to me, send me an email. My email's right there, Anna@parentspivot.com with yes, and we can set up a time to talk. So if you send me an email by tomorrow or you sign up for Thrive by tomorrow, then you will get that bonus one-on-one. So you'll get 2 one-on-ones with your Thrive coach and then 9 group coaching sessions and all of that value. So we'd love for you to join us. It is really filling up. It's more than halfway full already. The 2 cohorts are. So there are a few spaces left and we'd love for you to join us. But before we get more into that, I'd love for you all to hear from some returners who have found success, and success looks differently for everybody in their return to paid work. So I would love to call up Kristen first. Kristen, come on up and join us.
Oh, excuse me.
How are you?
Hello, I'm great, Anna. How are you?
Good. I'm so glad to see you. And if everybody wants to put their view on speaker view, they can see Kristen front and center. So thanks so much for joining us today. You went through the Thrive program. And I'd love to hear, what was your journey like before you started Thrive?
Oh, the image of the woman stuck in the mud was actually me. Like that was, I think that is an actual picture of me. I have 3 boys and my oldest turns 16 next week. And that is how old my career break is. It's massive. To me, it wasn't supposed to be 16 years and it turned into 16 years. And I felt like for years, I was just kind of lurking on LinkedIn and I didn't quite know how to get from point A to point B. Like I'd find jobs, I'd save jobs, but I couldn't get myself focused enough. I'd start dabbling a little bit in my resume, then I'd go back to LinkedIn, and I never followed through and really finished any of it. And in the back of my head, I was like, I don't even know what I want to do anyways. It's been so long since I worked. I needed something to tie it all together, and I had no idea what it was. And I'd never worked with a coach before or anything. So I was lost. I was lost in the mud.
Yeah, I hear you. And I know so many people on this call can resonate with that. And so you joined Thrive. What was it that got you to sign up for Thrive?
The thing that stood out to me in this presentation was the depth, the acronym, because I felt like for years I had all these reasons in my head why I'm an even better employee now than I was back before I had kids and took my career break. But I couldn't put it into a professional, that professional language I was missing. When I saw that, I immediately stopped doing whatever I was doing and half paying attention, to the master, no offense, Anna, but half paying attention to the master class and making my cup of tea and, focused immediately like, wow, this person is talking directly to me. That's the language I've been looking for.
Yeah, I love it. Love it. So how did Thrive help you?
The accountability was huge for me. I think all of us put everybody first. I think none of us would hesitate to, spend a few $100s here on a tutor, a few $100s here on cello lessons, for our kids. But, to stop and think, okay, I need to invest some time, some money, and become accountable. And having that group, having Jen being, so supportive, but also like, hey, this is due on this date. Like, come on. Like it helps just knowing you've got a group of people who are counting on you to come to the classes, prepared and willing to contribute to. That helped a ton.
Yeah, I love it. So accountability and showing up and people there looking for you, looking to hear what progress you had made and move forward. That's awesome. Well, good. So what were there any other benefits, I guess, in participating in Thrive?
For me, I was really hesitant about, and I'm not a technophobe, I try to stay current enough. But I didn't know like what Slack was. I had some experience doing Zooms and things like that, but just going every week to the class via Zoom, you become very confident using Zoom. And so when it's time to interview via Zoom, you eliminate that nervousness of, oh, what if there's an update? What if I did something wrong? What if, oh my gosh, what if it's got my kid's name up instead of mine? How do I fix that? And then we would communicate during the class using Slack, which was great because my husband works from home and I would hear him talking about Slack and I'm like, what a dumb name for a program. I'm like Slack off? Like, what is this? And now I know what it is and I can use it. So just things like there's a lot more benefits than just that, but there's a lot of things like that sprinkled in.
I love it. I love it. Wonderful. And so what might you said a little bit earlier about what you might say to somebody who's kind of on the fence considering Thrive. What is there anything that you would add to somebody who might be considering joining?
Oh, I mean, definitely you have everything to gain. Working with a coach is a game changer for sure. It doesn't matter if you're, maybe you're pretty confident and that's not a problem for you. And you feel like you can walk into an interview and own it. A coach is going to give you a totally different perspective on everything from your strengths, your weaknesses, and just the encouragement is awesome. And just knowing, I don't know if anyone is like me, but I listen to podcasts or watch YouTube on, LinkedIn, keyword optimization and all these things, you could just go down all these rabbit holes and just having somebody professional being like, okay, let's focus on what's most important right now, instead of going and spending an hour listening to some LinkedIn expert who I'm sure is very smart, but it gets a little overwhelming.
Yes, yes, I love it. And somebody who specifically worked with returners for sure and knows what works for
Yes.
returners. Yeah. Love it. Awesome. Well, thank you. Is there anything else you would add before I move to Elizabeth?
I can't think of anything. I'm sure I could keep talking and talking, but I think that's it.
Well, thank you so much. Thanks so much for sharing your story. Elizabeth, come on up.
Hi, Anna. Hi, everybody.
Hi.
Nice to
I'm
meet
so glad to see you. Thanks so much for being here. I would love to ask you some similar questions. So tell me a little bit about what was going on for you before you joined Thrive.
So for me, my background is I have a background in before my pause in market research and software user experience. And my career break was about 13 years, all told. And I signed up because I just felt like I'm at a transition point. My oldest kid is heading off to college, and I have another kid heading off to high school. And I feel like I'm at sort of a pivot point in my life. And I really felt like this was the next step for me, kind of addressing this. What happened? What happened, man? Where did my career go? What is the story that happened there? Because like Krista said, it wasn't supposed to be this long, my break, and I really felt like this was the next step with me that Jen was talking about the elephant in the room, but really there was an elephant in my heart too, this sort of what has gone on with me. And I knew that I needed to tell that story to help myself out, whether finding a job is going to be a nice result of that, but just I needed to tell the story to myself as well.
Yeah, I love it. So it
Yeah.
sounds like you were trying to figure out what you wanted to do, and then you were looking for some accountability. You were looking for somebody to help you navigate that elephant in your heart, and think through kind of what you wanted to do. So what was it that got you to sign up for Thrive?
Well, there's so much advice around. There's so many, like Kristen was saying, podcasts, whatever, articles, this, that, these coaches. There's a lot of advice around jobs. And I've been other places, listened to other things, and everything's helpful. But I really wanted people who had been through this particular journey. I felt like when I went to other job search things on the internet, I'd have to like explain my thing, explain the elephant in the room, and I wasn't quite ready to do it. It'd be a mixture of people, like people who were currently working or had been laid off. So just kind of, I wanted specific support from moms who had been through this particular thing. And that's what I found.
Yes, love it. Well, awesome. Yeah. And then how do you think Thrive helped you get to where you are today?
I really feel like talking with your Thrive group and with your coach is step one in telling your story to the point where it becomes natural for you to tell it, and neutralizing the elephant in the room and in your heart, so that when you say it, you've really owned it and you say it in this quick way. And this leads to other conversations, because I think job searching is a whole bunch of conversations, a whole bunch of putting yourself out there, a whole bunch of tough, sort of awkward conversations where you have to sell yourself a little bit. And so this group gives you the first experiences of doing that, which leads to other experiences of doing that. Whether it's email, in person, whatever, you've got to have those conversations quickly, not just throwing your resume out into the black hole, like somebody was saying in the text thread, or there's like 500, 1,000 applicants, but doing this networking conversation is what's going to get you better results, which is something that they teach in the classes. And communicating your story really quickly so it becomes no big deal. It's not a blocker to you, and we move on to the next thing, which is where I'm at. I'm in that networking, in my industry, it's a tough time, and there's been a lot of layoffs. There's not a lot of jobs laying around. There is 500 applicants for every job, that kind of deal. So I'm in that networking, volunteering, putting myself out there phase, which is going to move me to whatever the next phase is. And those Thrive conversations help me to be able to just have the confidence to be able to do that and get used to it. It is uncomfortable for me, and just getting used to this is what it's going to feel like. This is what it's going to feel like. So it becomes less and less of a big deal over time.
Awesome. Thank you, Elizabeth. I know a lot of people are feeling like you did before you joined Thrive, and to hear you share how it helped you build your confidence and helped you get comfortable having those conversations, I know it can be a relief. So it's great to have that professional guidance of like, how do I have these conversations, and that accountability throughout the program to say, okay, how was that conversation? What worked well? And then to also give you that feedback of like, okay, well, maybe you want to try this next time, or try this a little differently. And you got to hear that from everybody else in the program too, and learn along the way. So awesome. Thank you. Anything else that you want to add about Thrive, or what would you share to somebody who's considering joining?
I would say, as Kristen would say, the investment in yourself. It's okay to make it. Like she was saying, we wouldn't think twice about throwing some money toward our kids if it was like, man, this is the next step in their development. We are also developing as people too. And I think it will help us to be better parents and better role models if we show that we're continually developing too. It's an investment in the whole family. And I think the confidence in telling your story to yourself and to other people, it's going to take you to whatever the next thing is in your life, whatever that thing is. And it will help you get unstuck and move forward.
I love it. Well, thank you so much. That's awesome. Thanks so much for sharing. I am going to now go to share my screen and share a clip from another returner who went through the Thrive program, whose name is Alice. And Alice, let's see here. I talked to her a little bit before and recorded it. So here we go.
Glad to be here, Anna. Thanks for having me. Some of the things, so right before I joined Thrive, actually, I was just about to start my job search, but definitely some of the challenges that I was feeling were like not having any confidence, because I had been out of work for at least 2 years already, and also just feeling like there might be some kind of stigma with moms returning to work after having a long career break, because they might not think maybe that I would prioritize my job as much as I do my kids. And then the other thing is just not being sure of what to go back to, because I really did not want to go back to a stressful job if I already have a stressful job at home. And definitely wanted to find something with more flexibility. And thankfully, though, with COVID, after COVID and during COVID, it kind of opened doors up for a lot of jobs to be more flexible, which is nice.
Good. Yes. Yeah. So it sounds like before you joined Thrive, you were just starting your job search and you had some ideas about what work was going to be like based on your experience before COVID and kind of the lack of flexibility that you might have experienced before COVID. And so and you were saying that COVID really opened up that kind of door from your perspective for jobs that seemed like after COVID, a lot of jobs were more flexible.
Mm-hmm.
Awesome. Good. And it seemed like you were struggling. You mentioned with confidence in that you'd stepped away from your career and you had that career pause. And so how are people going to perceive that? And yeah, and I know that's a lot of what kind of people say when I'm meeting them for the first time is they struggle with some of those same things. So thank you for sharing. So what do you think it was? What was it that you were hoping to get out of Thrive? What was it that got you to sign up for Thrive?
What got me to sign up was, well, thinking about the challenges that I had ahead of me, it was definitely, I felt like I needed a little extra help, maybe a little extra push. And also just being a mom, you don't really have time to invest in yourself. So I thought like, hey, if I pay for this, I have to do it and I'm going to have to invest in myself. So those were some of the things. And also knowing that I'd be in a community with other moms in a similar situation, definitely knowing that I'm not alone and going through it with other people is helpful.
Yeah. Love it. Awesome. Well, good. And so where are you now? What are you doing?
So after 5 long months of searching, I finally found a wonderful job that is work from home and it's flexible. My boss is wonderful. Like the company is great and I love it so far. So yeah, I am so glad to have found a job in the industry that I was looking in. Not exactly industry, but the type of job that I perform. And yeah, I'm back at work.
So what's your role? What's the title, the job title?
The job title is treasury manager, although I don't really manage anyone, which is kind of nice.
Love it. Love it. Well, good. And then how do you think that Thrive helped you get there?
Thrive definitely gave me the tools that I need and help me with my confidence to also just any kind of myths or negative thinking that I had kind of help dispel that or help to mitigate anytime I would start going down that spiral of negative thoughts. And but most of all, it helped me keep on track, and it because we set goals, it also helped me not to compromise because I did get an offer actually early on in my job search, but I decided not to take it because they wanted me to work overtime and I had to go in the office 5 days a week. So I'm glad I didn't settle.
Yay! Me too. Me too. And I'm so glad to hear you say that because that's what we want for our returners. We want them to be intentional. Like if you're investing. Yes, we do. I think that one of the biggest things that, that we do want for returners is to make a choice to get back to paid work, to be intentional about that choice and to navigate that path that works for both you and the employer, remembering that you are also, you own your career and you can make the choices about where you're headed. So we definitely want that for everybody. So I'd love to open it up to questions for a little bit. If anybody has any questions, if you would come on and come on screen and ask those questions and let me know. And then in the meantime, if you are interested in learning more about Thrive, I hope you will reach out and send me an email, Anna@parentspivot.com. and with yes in the title, and we'll set up some time to talk. If you do that before end of day tomorrow, then you'll get that bonus one-on-one. Also, if you sign up for Thrive before tomorrow, then you'll get that bonus one-on-one. So would love for anybody to do that. And then so if anybody has any questions, please kind of put them. Thanks, Lily, for putting my email in there. Okay. And then, so I see a question in the chat. Shayna asks how to get past the defensiveness when it comes to the gap to even begin to sell yourself as an asset. And so I'm curious if Jen or Lily want to take this one.
I can say one or two things about it. Yeah, this in my mind gets back to the clarity piece as well as the unconscious bias piece that we talked about before. So in some ways, getting clear on what is the comfortable way of describing your experience and your pause and what value you bring to an employer it's all about finding the authentic language and practicing it over and over and over again to your coach and to your peers and to your family. And the more often you say it, the more you can speak it confidently and less defensiveness. I know exactly what you're talking about. When you say defensive, there's always that sort of like tinge that you can feel in your voice of like, oh, I feel like I'm battling in this conversation to just make myself feel whole. And I think a lot of it comes down to finding the words that feel authentic and then practicing that over and over again until it becomes so second nature. Elizabeth talked a lot about this too, of just being able to make it second nature and make it feel comfortable when it comes out of your mouth. Often that defensiveness, that little edge will begin to disappear over time.
Love it. Thanks, Jen. Lily, do you want to add anything?
Just see it as an asset. I mean, you have to do that mindset work and know that it is your story and you're showing up as your authentic self. And the only way we can change the world around us and normalizing that caregiving or whatever we've done during our pause is normal and is an asset is by sharing those stories. And that can be hard and overwhelming, but the mindset piece is a huge part of this process.
Yeah, definitely. So thinking through, I agree that mindset piece and being able to practice it with a professional coach, both of what you said, Jen, about being able to practice and get the guidance from a professional coach. And then Lily, what you said about that mindset and being able to shift your mindset to not come from a place of defensiveness and instead come from a place of, well, this is the way that I add value, and to be so sometimes we come from a place of defensiveness when we don't feel that value ourselves. But if we can flip the switch and feel that value, which is, a lot of what we practice and Thrive and some tips that we share there too, that can help you navigate it. So I see some questions in there about the cost. So the program is $997, and that's how much it costs for the full 9-week group coaching program, 2 one-on-one. It's a huge value. It's a fourth of the cost of what a traditional job search program would be for people who are not returning to paid work. So it's a really, really good value. You get those 2 one-on-ones, you get the group coaching sessions, you get access to the confidence building digital course, you get access to all of the workbooks. I saw another question in the program of how long do you have access to all of the workbooks and everything. Also, the sessions are recorded. So we really like, and you get the most benefit if you show up in person to these sessions. But if you do have to miss one, they are recorded. So you'll get to hear what everybody shares, and you'll get to hear the learning and the lessons. And so all of that is included, and you get access to that forever. So you can download the workbooks once you get access to them. You get access to the recordings, and you'll have access to them for forever. So I've had several people go through Thrive and be like, oh, I had another interview. Like they got back to paid work, but then maybe a couple of years later they changed jobs. They're like, went and looked back at your salary negotiation workbook and looked at all those tips and reminded myself of all of that work that we had done. So yes. And so let's see what other kind of questions. It's it's a 9-week group coaching program. So how to prepare for the comeback? Did you take classes or get some certificates or update skills? So I think that's a question for Elizabeth and Kristen. We're going over a little bit, but if we have a couple minutes, you all can stay on and we'll answer these questions. Kristen and Elizabeth, do either one of you want to take that question? Did you take any classes or get any certificates or skills?
There is so much out there in terms of classes and stuff that you can take at least in my industry, and I think a lot of industries. There's a lot of free stuff, there's a lot of low cost stuff, and there are a lot of professional associations and organizations that you can check out and join and that have a lot of free stuff or low cost stuff. So yeah, I'm in the process of doing all that. And there's a lot out there, and it's kind of a job to wade through it and figure out what is the right stuff for you. But there is a lot to be done.
Yes. Yeah. So there are classes, and we do like to work with people to figure out where you're headed first. And then potentially there might be some certificates or classes that you need. But we assess that as we get clearer about what it is that you want to do in the program. Yeah. All right. Let's see. Any other questions? So I know this is going to vary, but curious about the success rate of what parents that complete this program and land a job after. So yeah, so this is success looks differently for everybody. And so we heard from a couple of returners who today, Kristen and Elizabeth, who have found increased clarity, increased skills in the job search area, but have not necessarily returned to paid work yet, but they've got a lot out of this program and are so well prepared to continue through this. And they've been close a couple times, but and then we heard from Alice, who had returned to paid work within 5 months of starting Thrive. So it was actually 2 months after completion of Thrive that she returned to paid work. And so it's different for everybody. Success looks different for everybody. Everybody who goes through the program gets increased confidence. Everybody who goes through the program gets increased clarity. Everybody who goes through the program gets better job search tools than they had before, better resumes, better LinkedIn, better interview prep, better tools for negotiating salary, more informed. And then the job, whether you land a job after or not, sometimes depends on a lot of different things. And so we don't necessarily have that. We do have the metrics around everybody, 100% of the people getting increased clarity, 100% getting increased confidence, and 100% getting better job search tools. So I think that's about it. So we're going to wrap up, but I hope that, if you have any other questions, I am always happy to set up some time to talk. So email me, Anna@parentspivot.com, put yes in the subject line, and we will set up a time for a conversation, or go ahead and sign up for Thrive. You can do that through the website. And thank you, Lily. Thanks for putting that in. She just dropped it in the chat. So you can see an outline of the program there. There's a lot of answers to your questions on that landing page. But I hope you'll reach out if you have any questions. It is more than halfway full. So I think it's going to probably close before the September 26th close date, but would love to talk with anybody who has any questions. And hopefully you've got a lot out of today, and it was great to see you all. Thanks for being here, and take care.